You're exhausted, not from doing too little, but from trying so hard, trying to hold it together, trying to be enough, trying to force life to move while it keeps standing still. The more you chase what's not aligned, the more it escapes, and the more it drains you. Tell me, have you ever felt like life keeps dangling peace just out of reach, no matter how much effort you pour in? What if the reason you're stuck is because you're gripping too tightly the very thing you're meant to surrender? Before we begin, subscribe to Deep Wisdom, where every video is a doorway to calm, clarity, and timeless Buddhist insight you won't find anywhere else. Because this isn't just about letting go. This is about finally understanding why letting go works, and why chasing never will. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "I'm done chasing peace," and stay until the end, because there's a powerful bonus lesson that could change the way everything flows into your life. Let's begin. 1. The paradox of release. What you let go stays. What if the very act of holding on is what keeps it away? We spend so much time chasing love, chasing success, chasing clarity, believing that if we try hard enough, we can force life to give us what we crave. But the tighter we grip, the more things slip away. Like sand in a closed fist, what we clutch with desperation escapes between the cracks. And yet, when we open our hand, when we stop grasping and start trusting, something mysterious happens. The world begins to lean in. There's a story an old monk once shared. A man was sitting in a quiet forest with his hand wide open. A butterfly landed gently on his palm. The man stayed still, his breath soft, his hand relaxed. The butterfly rested there for what seemed like forever. But then, the man grew eager. He wanted to hold on, to keep it. As he slowly closed his fingers, the butterfly sensed the shift and flew away. Life is the butterfly. It stays where there is freedom. It leaves where there is fear. Buddhist wisdom tells us, when you stop grasping, the world comes closer to listen. Letting go doesn't mean indifference. It means trust. It means you understand that what is truly yours can never be lost, and what isn't will never bring you peace. This is not passive resignation. It's the highest form of spiritual intelligence. You stop controlling and start aligning. You stop chasing and start flowing. In our modern world, we are taught the opposite. Hustle harder, chase your goals, never stop. But here's the truth. The things that matter most, love, peace, purpose, they cannot be captured like prey. They must be received like a breeze. They arrive when you're still enough to feel them. They come when your heart is open, not clenched. Can you feel the difference between grasping and welcoming? Take a moment. Close your eyes. Picture your deepest desire, love, clarity, peace, sitting gently in your open palm. Don't try to hold it. Just feel its presence. Trust its timing. And now ask yourself, what am I holding too tightly right now? Is it a relationship, a plan, a dream that won't leave your mind? Could it be that peace begins where your need ends? Letting go is not losing. It's creating space for better alignment, for divine timing, for natural flow. The paradox is this: when you no longer need it, it's finally free to stay. What would happen if you stopped trying to force life into shape and instead allowed it to shape you? Let that be your meditation today. Rest in the open palm of surrender. Allow life to land where it may, because what's meant for you doesn't need to be chased. It only needs to be received. The more you chase, the more it runs, because what's meant for you flows to who's no longer desperate to catch it. Chasing is a form of fear. What if all this chasing isn't because you're inspired, but because you're afraid. We often believe we're pursuing dreams, love, or success out of passion. But deep down, many of us are running, not towards something, but away from something, away from silence, away from emptiness, away from the quiet voice inside that says, "Be still." The faster you run from emptiness, the more it owns you. Imagine a man sprinting down a road, not knowing he's not chasing something. He's being chased. Not by monsters, not by people, but by his own discomfort. He cannot sit still because stillness would force him to face the aching space inside. So he keeps moving, faster, busier, louder. But his shadow grows longer with every step. Like running from the dark, he forgets the darkness is part of him. And no matter how far he goes, it follows. Buddhism teaches that suffering arises not from what we lack, but from how tightly we cling to the illusion of lack. Chasing is a disguised form of fear, a fear that you are not whole as you are, that unless you have that person, that achievement, that certainty, you won't be enough. But let me ask you gently, what emotion are you avoiding when you chase? To chase is to say, "I cannot rest until I get it." But what if that very mindset is the thing keeping it away? What if the universe waits for your energy to settle before it delivers what's meant for you? Just as muddy water clears only when it's undisturbed, your life clears not through motion, but through stillness. So today, just for a minute, sit still. No phone, no music, no goals, just you and your breath. You might feel restless, anxious, hollow, but let that discomfort speak. Let it teach you. Because behind every chase is a quiet truth trying to reach you, that you are not empty. You are just unused to being full without noise. Letting go is not giving up. It's looking your fear in the eye and saying, "I see you, and I choose stillness anyway." It's choosing peace over performance, truth over tension, alignment over effort. Who are you without your desires pushing you forward? That question is your real freedom. It's easy to confuse momentum with meaning, but some of the most meaningful moments in life come when you stop. When you feel the fullness of now, when you stop needing and start noticing. You're not running anymore. You're arriving. What if everything you're chasing is already on its way, waiting for you to stop running long enough to receive it? Let that be your pause today. Because the one who chases never truly arrives, but the one who lets go is already home. Your shadow doesn't shrink when you run. It shrinks when you turn and face it. The silent alignment of still waters. Can stillness move you further than speed? It's a strange question in a world that rewards noise, action, and urgency. But nature, in its quiet way, teaches something very different. A leaf does not chase the wind, and yet it travels far, drifting on currents more powerful than its own will. Stillness is not the absence of motion. It is alignment with motion, deeper than your mind can imagine. We often believe that if we stop striving, we will fall behind. That if we aren't pushing, pulling, planning, we're failing. But have you ever watched a calm lake reflect the sky? Perfectly still, perfectly clear. Now imagine that lake stirred by force, muddy, confused, restless. That's what the anxious heart does to your mind. It tries to force answers. It rushes towards solutions. And in doing so, it disturbs the very clarity it longs for. Buddhist wisdom shows us that the answers we seek rarely come from effort. They come from awareness. And awareness arises when we're quiet enough to notice. You cannot hear the whisper of truth while shouting over your life. You cannot receive when your hands are always reaching. So ask yourself, what clarity might appear in your life if you stopped stirring the waters. Stillness isn't passive. It's perceptive. It allows life to unfold rather than be controlled. The tree does not chase spring, it surrenders to the rhythm of seasons. You too are part of that rhythm. When you are still, you begin to move, not from fear, but from flow. Not from pressure, but from peace. It's in this space that you reconnect to something ancient and wise within you. There is a difference between movement and progress. One can spin endlessly in circles, achieving exhaustion, but not depth. Stillness invites you to drop deeper, into self, into truth, into the quiet intelligence of now. You don't need more force, you need more faith. You need to trust that silence is not empty, it's full of answers waiting to be heard. So take a breath today. Sit in silence. Listen, not for words, but for what exists beneath them. Stillness is not doing nothing. It is doing the most important thing of all, remembering who you are when you stop trying to become someone. Midway through the noise of chasing, ask yourself, are you listening to the world or to your own soul? One leads you in circles, the other leads you home. The calm mind sees what the anxious heart misses. When you stop stirring the waters, truth rises to the surface, like light through fog. You don't have to chase your life. You only need to sit still long enough to let it catch up to you. Still waters don't resist the current, yet they go the farthest. Letting go is a spiritual power, not surrender. What if detachment isn't weakness, but wisdom in motion? We've been taught that to win, we must hold tighter, to people, to goals, to outcomes. But Buddhist teachings reveal a deeper truth. The tighter you cling, the more life resists. And the moment you release, peace begins to flow. Letting go is not giving up. It is choosing to rise above the noise of fear, to step into the power of trust. Power isn't in how much you can control. It lives in how much you can release without trembling. Imagine the sun. Does it cling to its light? Number. It radiates freely, endlessly, and in that freedom, it becomes the center of everything. That's the quiet power of letting go. It doesn't chase, it simply shines. And what needs that warmth comes willingly, without force. But many of us fear that if we loosen our grip, we will lose what we love. So we squeeze harder. We hold relationships past their season. We force results that aren't ready. And in the process, we become exhausted, disconnected, even resentful. The very things we try to protect begin to pull away, not because we don't care, but because our energy is rooted in fear, not flow. Try this. Close your eyes for a moment. Breathe in deeply. Now exhale. Imagine with that breath, you're releasing all expectations for today. Just for a moment, let go of the need to control, let go of the plan, let go of the outcome. What remains is peace. What remains is presence. Letting go is not a loss. It's a remembering that you were never in control to begin with. And you never needed to be. You were born to move with life, not against it. And life, when trusted, has a far greater intelligence than our fears could ever comprehend. Ask yourself gently, what are you gripping that's gripping you back? What are you afraid will fall apart if you stop trying to hold it all together? What if letting go isn't the end, but the beginning of something more honest, more aligned, more free? In Buddhist practice, we return again and again to the breath. Not because it changes everything instantly, but because it reminds us every exhale is a soft surrender, every release a quiet declaration of faith. You are not here to force your life into shape. You are here to become still enough to let it form itself. So here is your reminder. You do not have to hold so tightly. What's meant for you will not leave when your grip loosens. It will stay because it belongs, not because you controlled it. Letting go is not weakness. It's trust in its highest form. That which is held gently stays. That which is held too tightly slips. Pain is the teacher of release. There is a sacred reason why suffering often comes just before we break through. Pain is not punishment. It is a powerful messenger. It does not come to destroy, but to dismantle the walls you built around your soul. When life begins to unravel, it is often the sign that something greater is trying to emerge. But we resist. We cling to what is falling away, not realizing that the fire we fear is the very thing that sets us free. Pain cracks the ego so the soul can escape. Like fire burning the rope that tethers a bird, it may sting at first, but it makes flight possible. In Buddhist practice, we do not run from pain. We bow to it. We sit with it in silence, because in stillness, it reveals what words never could. It shows us our attachments and the illusions they're built upon. When a relationship ends, or a dream collapses, or silence suddenly fills a space we loved, our first instinct is to chase, to fix, to pull it back into form. But what if the pain is asking you to let it go? What if your suffering is the soul's gentle way of saying, this is not your path anymore? The things we lose are not always punishments. Sometimes they are clearings. Visualize this. Your pain is not here to torment you. It is the fire, burning away what you no longer need. Every disappointment is a gate. Every heartbreak is a compass. But you must pause long enough to see what direction it's pointing to. If you try to rush through grief or numb your way past it, you miss the treasure hidden in its ashes. Sit with this question. What has your pain tried to free you from? Not what it took, but what it offered. Did it loosen your grip on control? Did it humble your pride? Did it force you to finally rest, or listen, or change? We fear letting go because we believe it means losing ourselves. But pain teaches us that the self we're losing was never who we truly were. Underneath the noise, beneath the scars, there is a softer, clearer self emerging. One that doesn't need to chase because it has nothing to prove. So the next time you feel pain rise, do not fight it. Ask it. Ask, what are you here to teach me? Let it burn what needs burning. Let it purify. Let it reveal. Because when the fire has passed, you will find yourself lighter, clearer, and more aligned with who you were always meant to be. You don't need to chase healing. You only need to stop resisting it. Let the pain pass through you, not to punish, but to prepare. For the freedom waiting on the other side begins where resistance ends. Wanting too much blocks receiving. Sometimes we chase what we want with such urgency that we forget the nature of receiving. We clench our fists, thinking tighter grip brings faster results. But what if the very act of wanting is what blocks the blessing? A full cup cannot be filled. When we are already overflowing with craving, worry, and imagined outcomes, how can life give us anything real? Like trying to pour water into a clenched hand, it spills through the cracks, no matter how badly we want to keep it. The tighter we hold, the more we lose. True receiving requires spaciousness. It asks us not to grasp, but to open, to become a vessel, not a force. Picture your heart as an empty bowl, open, calm, trusting. You do not chase the sky to be filled with rain. You wait, receptive. You do not beg the wind to move the leaves. It happens when it's time. The wisdom of the spiritual path is not in endless effort, but in sacred receptivity? What if the thing you long for is not far away, but simply unable to reach you because there is no room left within? Many chase from a place of fear, not faith. Fear says, "I need this to feel enough." But abundance whispers, "Even now, I have all I need." This doesn't mean you stop having dreams or visions. It means your energy shifts from demanding to inviting, from controlling to allowing. The universe meets you in that shift, not when you scream the loudest, but when you become quiet enough to listen. Ask yourself gently, is your desire rooted in trust or in panic? Are you creating space for life to surprise you, or are you building walls made of expectations? The moment you surrender your grip, you begin to see more clearly. You notice blessings you overlooked. You feel guidance that was drowned in your noise. Letting go is not giving up. It's making room. It is not passivity. It is preparation. You are not saying, "I don't want this." You are saying, "I am ready to receive it in its right form, at its right time." And there is deep power in that. Try this today. Let go of one mental demand you've been repeating. Replace it with space, a breath, a stillness. Feel how light your spirit becomes. Feel how much more can enter when you stop trying to force it. Remember, the emptiness you fear is often the doorway to fulfillment. It's not a lack, it's an invitation to trust, to receive, to allow the universe to pour into you. Not when you chase, but when you open your hands, your heart, your life. Let go not because you're weak, but because you're finally strong enough to let what's meant for you flow in without force. Non-attachment is the purest love. There is a kind of love that suffocates, and another that sets everything free. Most people confuse holding on tightly with caring deeply. But love, in its purest form, is not possession. It is presence. It is walking beside something or someone without trying to control where they go. Like wind moving through bamboo, love flows best when it moves without force. It supports, it touches, but it never demands. That is the essence of non-attachment, not the absence of love, but its refinement. To love something without needing it to complete you is to truly honor it. Because then, your care is no longer about filling your own gaps, but about witnessing the beauty of someone or something just as they are. You stop needing to make them yours. You simply let them be. And that is where peace begins. Imagine someone you love floating gently down a peaceful river. You are not grasping at them. You are not trying to pull them to shore. You are walking beside them, present, steady, trusting the current to carry both of you wherever life intends. That is non-attachment. It doesn't make you cold. It makes your heart spacious. You become a sanctuary, not a cage. Attachment often wears the mask of devotion. "I can't live without you," we say, thinking it's romantic. But what it often means is, "I'm afraid of myself without you." That fear wraps itself around people, dreams, outcomes, and it strangles the very freedom love needs to grow. True love doesn't cling. It doesn't shrink in the face of change. It remains, not out of fear, but out of choice. Ask yourself gently, where has attachment disguised itself as love in your life? Are there people or dreams you're squeezing too tightly? What might shift if you believed that what's real never needs to be forced? When you let go of clinging, love doesn't disappear. It transforms. It flows more honestly, more generously, more powerfully, because it is no longer afraid. Try this today. With one person you care about deeply, practice loving without control. Instead of asking them to change or stay or reassure, just be with them. Listen without fixing. Be present without proving. Let them float while you walk alongside in peace. Remember, letting go isn't rejection. It's reverence. It's saying, I see your path and I trust it. It's trusting that love, when it is real, knows how to return. Not because you held it tightly, but because you honored its freedom. In the end, the ones who stay not because you held them back, but because you gave them wings, and they chose to land beside you. The unseen forces move when you stop pushing. Sometimes, it is only when your hands are empty that the universe begins to pour its gifts. You try, you strive, you push, and yet nothing moves. It's like rowing against the tide. The more effort you apply, the more resistance you face. But something strange happens when you stop trying to force life. When you pause, let go, and surrender your plans, something deeper awakens, not in your hands, but in the space you've made by releasing control. That's when the unseen forces begin their quiet work. Imagine a small boat tied tightly to the shore. Its owner rows endlessly, believing effort will bring movement. But the sea has its own rhythm. The tide cannot rise until the oars are rested and the rope is untied. Miracles do not arrive on demand. They arrive in silence, like the tide swelling when no one is watching. When the ego sleeps, the universe begins its work. And the most extraordinary things unfold in that stillness. You've been taught that letting go means giving up. But letting go is not defeat, it is collaboration. You release your personal timeline so that a greater timing can enter. You release your grip, not because you don't care, but because you finally understand that something wiser than your plans is moving. Letting go does not mean you stop showing up. It means you stop trying to control what's beyond you and start trusting what's already unfolding. Can you sit with this silence today? Can you feel life moving even when you're still? Close your eyes, take a breath, and imagine the quiet hum of existence. Trees growing, stars burning, hearts beating, all without your permission. There is something larger than you that has never stopped working in your favor. But your need to interfere often blocks its entrance. Ask yourself, are you so busy trying to push things into place that you've left no space for grace? Are you so involved in the outcome that life has no room to surprise you? Try stepping back just for a moment. Rest the oars, trust the current. The miracle you seek may already be on its way, but it cannot land until the waters of your mind are still. You don't have to chase your destiny. You only have to become quiet enough to recognize when it arrives. Because sometimes the greatest transformations happen, not when you push harder, but when you finally allow yourself to stop. And in that sacred pause, everything begins to shift. Letting go isn't losing, it's returning. You spend so much of your life climbing, chasing some imagined summit, a title, a relationship, a dream shaped by others' expectations. And somewhere along the way, you begin to feel the weight. It starts subtly, a tension in your chest, a heaviness in your steps. But you don't stop. You push forward, thinking progress lies ahead. Until one day, in exhaustion, you pause and take off the burden you've carried for too long. Only then do you realize it was never yours to carry. And in that sacred moment, something unexpected happens. You don't lose yourself. You begin to return to who you truly are. Letting go is not the end. It is a homecoming. It's the gentle peeling away of what doesn't belong to your spirit. The opinions that shaped your identity, the goals that came from fear, the roles you were assigned but never chose. Release them. Because the path forward sometimes begins by walking back to where you dropped your truth. You are not here to become someone else. You are here to remember who you were before the world told you who to be. Think of a traveler who carries a heavy pack up a mountain. The journey becomes hard, not because of the climb, but because of the extra weight. And when he finally releases the pack, the same path becomes lighter, freer, even beautiful. That's the nature of letting go. You don't lose your way. You find your breath again. You find your peace again. You find yourself again. Close your eyes for a moment. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, imagine releasing just one burden you were never meant to hold. Maybe it's a voice in your head telling you you're behind. Maybe it's a fear that keeps you chasing approval. Maybe it's the silent grief of not being enough. Breathe it out. It does not belong to the soul you came here with. Ask yourself gently, who are you beneath all your striving? Who are you without the constant reaching, grasping, proving? You are not your achievements. You are not your failures. You are not your goals. You are the awareness, watching it all rise and fall. Like clouds across a still sky, you remain unshaken. And perhaps the thing you've been chasing has been circling you all along, waiting for you to become still enough to receive it. Maybe what you truly seek isn't out there at all. Maybe it's been within you, quiet and patient, whispering through the noise. Come home. Letting go is not the same as giving up. It's giving in to truth, to alignment, to the peace that comes from carrying only what's truly yours. It's a return to breath, to presence, to the version of you that needs no decoration, no validation, no finish line. So today, may you have the courage to release one thing, not because you failed, but because you've remembered it was never part of your journey to begin with. Trust the flow you cannot see. There comes a time in every seeker's journey when the road vanishes beneath their feet. The signs disappear, the certainty evaporates, the stars go quiet, and in that moment, the mind panics. It clings to maps, to plans, to anything familiar. But the soul leans forward, because the soul understands a deeper truth. Not all rivers need to be understood to be crossed. Some currents carry you only when you stop asking where they're going. We are taught to chase clarity, to wait for the full picture before taking a step. But life, in its quiet wisdom, often withholds the full view, not as a punishment, but as a test of trust. Can you walk when the path is misted? Can you step forward when the destination is unknown? Like flying through fog, where you cannot see the land, yet you rise because the wind beneath you is real, though invisible. Close your eyes, if only in your heart. Picture a forest path stretching ahead of you. Now imagine a mist rolling in, covering what lies beyond the next turn. Do you stop and wait, or do you trust your steps? The ego says, I need to know. The spirit whispers, you don't need to know, you just need to walk. Trust does not eliminate fear. It simply makes fear unnecessary. Many miss life's greatest offerings because they demand guarantees before they move. But the spiritual path offers no certainty, only presence. It asks not for control, but for courage. And when you surrender the need to know, you become available to experience what can never be planned. The unseen flow begins to carry you, gently, silently, but surely. Imagine for a moment that life is not a test, but a tide. You don't need to paddle upstream. You only need to stop resisting. There is grace in giving up the struggle, in letting go of the questions that were never yours to answer. Some journeys can only begin when your grip on certainty ends. Ask yourself now, do you trust the journey more than the destination? Can you walk even when your vision is blurred, knowing the next step is enough? So many suffer not from the path itself, but from their need to see the end. But the soul already knows. Each moment is enough. Each breath is holy. Each step is sacred, even if it leads only to more fog. Letting go doesn't always mean losing. Sometimes it means loosening your need to define everything. And in that space, miracles begin. The forest opens, the river carries. The unseen hand gently directs your course. Not because you forced it, but because you trusted it. So walk forward, not blindly, but bravely. Not because you see the end, but because your heart beats with the rhythm of something larger than fear. Let the fog rise around you. Let the mist hide the future. Let go of the map. And trust that the current of life already knows the way. Emptiness is the beginning of all power. There is a sacred power that hides not in accumulation, but in absence, in the space we fear but need. Like a bowl, your life is most useful not when it is full, but when it is open. Open to receive, open to be filled with what is truly meant for you. And yet, we spend so much time trying to fill ourselves, rushing, gathering, chasing, thinking more will make us whole. But have you ever wondered, what if having nothing is the gateway to everything? The mind resists emptiness. It fears the silence between thoughts, the stillness between actions. But the soul recognizes that space as sacred. Like a hollow flute, it is only in its emptiness that it can create music. If it were filled with wood or metal, it would make no sound. Its power comes not from what it contains, but from what it allows to pass through it. We are not taught to value this emptiness. We are taught to be useful, productive, constantly doing. But spiritual power does not rise from force. It rises from surrender. True wisdom begins when we are emptied of what no longer serves us. Expectations, false identities, worn-out dreams. It is in this emptying that clarity arrives. And with it, a new kind of strength, quiet but undeniable. Close your eyes for a moment and feel the space between your thoughts. That breathless pause, that ungraspable stillness. That is where life begins again. Not in the noise, but in the pause between. Power is not always loud. Often it comes softly, when you are finally quiet enough to hear it. What if the silence you've been avoiding is the doorway to the life you've been seeking? We fill our days with sound and stimulation, afraid of what the stillness might show us. But emptiness is not a void. It is a womb. It births new vision. It renews tired hearts. It prepares us to receive what cannot land in crowded hands. So ask yourself gently, are you willing to be emptied so life can fill you differently? Can you release the desire to control what flows in and instead become the vessel that holds it with grace? You do not need more to become more. You simply need to allow space, like the sky does for the sun, like the bowl does for the offering, like the flute does for the breath that makes it sing. Let go of the fear that nothingness means failure. It doesn't. It means readiness. Readiness to be used by something greater. Readiness to hold joy, peace, love. Not because you chased them, but because you made room for them. The power you seek has always lived inside the silence you resist. Enter it, sit with it, trust it, and let the universe rush in, not to fill what is broken, but to bless what is open. Bonus lesson. The art of letting go is the dance of the divine. There is a moment, quiet and invisible, where the universe leans closer, watching to see if you will release what you've clung to for too long. This moment is not loud, not dramatic. It comes like dusk, soft, still, sacred. And in this moment, letting go becomes more than a choice. It becomes a dance, a divine invitation to move in rhythm with something far wiser than your plans. You are not here to chase life. You are here to allow it. We are taught that chasing leads to achievement, that holding on proves strength. But the great paradox of spiritual living is this: the tighter you grip, the further you drift, like trying to hold wind in your hands. You cannot control the tides, the seasons, or the souls of others. You can only align with the current and let it carry you. Surrender is not weakness, it is trust embodied. Imagine a dandelion, light and fragile, lifted into the air by a breeze. No effort, no resistance, just movement in harmony with what is. And yet, those seeds go farther than your feet ever could. This is the silent magic of surrender. When you stop pushing, life starts flowing. When you stop demanding, the universe begins delivering. As you breathe out, imagine your dreams, your desires, your worries, your timelines, rising like that dandelion, drifting gently into the hands of something greater. You are not giving them away. You are giving them space. Space to land where they are meant to bloom. And maybe, just maybe, they will grow into something even more beautiful than what you imagined. Letting go is not giving up. It is giving in to the intelligence of life itself. A river does not fear the bend. A tree does not beg for the next season. So why must we grasp so tightly to our version of how life should unfold? The art of letting go is the art of becoming available to wonder, to grace, to the blessings hidden in what you cannot plan. Ask yourself, if you fully let go right now, who would you become? What weight would fall from your shoulders? What peace would fill your chest? There is beauty trying to find you, but it cannot land in clenched fists. It waits for openness, for trust, for your willingness to receive without control. Control is exhausting, but surrender is energizing. It frees the soul to breathe, to dance, to love without fear. So pause, exhale, and let life bloom without your constant pruning. The divine has never needed your force, only your faith. You do not need to chase the wind to be carried by it. You only need to let go of the ground you think you must control. And in that letting go, the real journey begins, not with effort, but with elegance, not with fear, but with freedom, not with striving, but with sacred surrender. Let go and watch the miracle unfold. Quick summary of the lessons. The paradox of release. What you let go stays. Letting go creates space for things to return without resistance. When you no longer cling out of fear, people, opportunities, and peace flow back with loyalty. This principle shows that surrender isn't loss, it's invitation. What's meant for you recognizes your calm. Chasing is a form of fear. Often, our chase is fueled by fear of being incomplete. We seek validation, love, or success because we're scared to sit with stillness. But only when we face that discomfort do we discover the truth. We were never lacking to begin with. The silent alignment of still waters. Stillness is not passivity, it's deep listening. In the absence of rushing, the path becomes clear. Inner silence reveals answers that chaos hides. Life begins to align when we stop forcing it to obey our timeline. Letting go is a spiritual power, not surrender. Detachment is not defeat, it is clarity in action. When you release what doesn't serve you, you stop bleeding energy. True strength lies in not needing to hold what isn't aligned with your peace. That is mastery. Pain is the teacher of release. Suffering often arrives not to punish, but to liberate. Pain reveals attachments you didn't know were strangling you. When you listen to pain instead of running from it, you access a deeper healing, the freedom of letting go. Wanting too much blocks. Receiving. Excess desire turns into resistance. When you constantly want more, you forget how to receive. The space needed for blessings to arrive is often occupied by anxious expectations. Learn to empty yourself so life can pour in. Non-attachment is the purest love. Real love doesn't need to control or possess. Attachment clouds clarity. When you love from presence, not possession, you allow others to be fully free. And paradoxically, that freedom deepens the bond. The unseen forces move when you stop pushing. The more you interfere, the more you delay what's divinely timed. Sometimes, your absence of effort becomes the greatest offering to the universe. The unseen moves best in the space where your ego steps aside. Letting go isn't losing, it's returning. Letting go is a return to your natural state, unburdened, spacious, and whole. It's not a loss, but a reconnection with what really matters. When you stop chasing, you realize you already had what you needed. Trust the flow you cannot see. You don't need to control the entire path to keep walking it. The unknown isn't the enemy, it's the dance of unfolding. Faith is stepping forward without needing proof. That is where the magic begins. Emptiness is the beginning of all power. True strength begins with space. When you are empty, you become receptive to inspiration, clarity, and transformation. Emptiness isn't a void, it's potential. The most profound truths are whispered into still minds. The art of letting go is the dance of the divine. Letting go is not passive, it's sacred participation. It signals trust in the rhythm of life. When you release control, you enter alignment. You don't chase the divine. It finds you when you become still enough to be seen. The truth is, chasing is noisy. It clutters the soul with constant hunger. And in that pursuit, we miss the quiet miracles already unfolding. Letting go, however, is an ancient path walked by the wise. It is a soft rebellion against chaos, a silent agreement with life itself that says, I trust you now. Every moment you release control, you reclaim power, not the power of domination, but of deep inner alignment. Because when you let go, you don't lose, you become lighter. And in that lightness, something beautiful begins to move through you. Clarity, grace, synchronicity. What once felt out of reach now comes with ease because your hands are finally open to receive. When I let go of who I am, I become who I might be. Let this be your quiet realization. You do not have to chase what already belongs to you. Just stay rooted, stay still, stay awake. Life finds its way to those who no longer demand it. Now breathe deeply and ask yourself, what am I finally ready to let go of so that peace can take its place? If you found value in this video, then like and share this video, share your opinion in the comment box, and subscribe to Deep Wisdom for more inspiring Buddhist insights on living a peaceful life.